Welcome to Halacha for Children. Today we're going to be learning about the rules. If a person takes off his tefillin, does he have to make a new bracha when putting them back on? Starting with Halacha number 1, if a person takes off his tefillin with the intention of putting them back on in the next 2 to 3 hours, says the Shulchan Aruch that even if he puts them back on right away, he has to make a new bracha. Being that when he took them off, he was only intending on putting them on much later, we assume that this person was masiach das, he's removed his mind from wearing the tefillin, which now requires him to make a new bracha. But if a person takes off his tefillin with the intention of putting them back on right away, says the Shulchan Aruch that if he does put it back on right away, he does not need to make a new bracha. However, if a person takes off his tefillin with the intention of putting them back on right away, but when he takes them off, he goes to the restroom, whether for number 2 or for number 1. Says the Shulchan Aruch that being that at that time he's in a location where he's not allowed to wear his tefillin, even though he puts them back on right after he's done, he's still required to make a new bracha. Halacha number 2. If a person puts on his tefillin and the tefillin slipped and moved from its proper location, like on his hand tefillin, it slips and it goes beneath his bicep, or on his head tefillin, it moves from being right between his eyes. So says the Shulchan Aruch that if this happens during davening, so being that a person's intending to wear his tefillin during davening and a person is mindful of his tefillin, we assume that when he feels the tefillin moving, he's mindful of that, and we consider it as if he moved it on his own. And it's just as we've learned in Halacha number 1, that if you move your tefillin, if you take off your tefillin, but you put them back on right away, you don't need to make a bracha. So to here, when he fixes the location of his tefillin, being that he's doing so right away during davening, he's not required to make a new bracha.